Some familiar faces, some familiar names. Gabe, don't hold back here. Let me know what you're thinking. In a 12 by 12 best ball league, if you're competing, are you sending away Caleb Williams, Xavier Worthy, and Marvin Harrison Jr. to get back Joe Burrow, Nico Collins, who's now on IR, Bucky Irving, and a 2025 second?
I think now knowing what I know, man, I don't think I am. I think I'd rather keep that Caleb Williams side, but let's talk about it.
Oh, where's the conviction, Gabe? Come on, man. Yeah, let's talk about it.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Welcome on in, everyone, to another edition of the All Gas Trade Show. I'm Ty DeClaire at Ty DeClaire 44. To my right, I have my man, Gabe _FF, Gabe Garcia in the house. Gabe, how you doing? We're here for another week of football, another week of talking trades.
Hey, brother, I am here, excited and ready to get this party started. I know we've got a lot to talk about. We just had the 49ers game that just passed, and so hopefully we'll get some 49ers trades going too. Obviously, Jordan Mason got a little banged up, so let's see how the dynasty value changes, man, week over week.
You got a little ouchie on the shoulder. Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll find a 49er to talk about eventually. But before we get there, let's head on over to Underdog. Use code ALLGAS at sign up. Get 1,000 on the arm, and you get your special pick. Come join where literally everyone in destination, the best destination to talk about Dynasty football, DD Fantasy Football. Head on over to the Discord and talk about Underdog, talk about betting, talk about food, talk about Marvel, talk about a bunch of different things. Gabe, where can the people go to get into the Discord?
Oh, so they can go to DD Fantasy Football, and we're all here talking day in, day out. Anything you guys need, we are always here talking ball. So definitely jump into the Discord with us, and let's get this party started.
Damn right. We're going to be using some of the tools at destinationdevi.com, patreon.com/allgas gets you in the door. And Gabe, thank goodness we got in the door because we made some sweet deals in the past, and this is just another one. So, yeah, when we made this deal, Nico Collins not on IR yet. Took advantage of it there, I guess. But I sent you away that Joe Burrow, that Nico Collins, Bucky Irving in a second. I know Bucky doesn't mean too much to you in the way we were talking, but I'm 0-5. You're 2-3. You wanted to. Yeah, I'm assuming you wanted your boy Nico. You're a Texans fan, and
I got CJ.
You got CJ, so you stacked up. Yeah, I walk me through it, like how we got here and kind of what you think about the deal.
Yeah, so I think starting off, 2-3 in this league, I don't think the record really shows, kind of where the team is at, if you will. I think I'm like number 3 in points for and like number 4 points against. So every week in, week out, it's just been an absolute beatdown, right? Like I'm either putting up the highest points, but I'm also getting the highest points put on me or something very close to that. And so I just needed a little bit more production, if you will, coming from my QB2 spot. So as I mentioned, I have CJ Stroud as my QB1. I had Caleb Williams as my QB2, and then Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby's now benched. And then Caleb Williams has been a little inconsistent kind of week over week. And I know he just had his really good game this past week, but again, I just felt like I needed something a little bit more secure in my QB2 room behind CJ Stroud. And so that's kind of what made me look to Burrow's way. And so basically that's kind of where the deal took off, right? I wanted to get a little bit more production too out of my second receiver, because in this league, I also have AJ Brown, who, as we know, has just been a zero the past couple of weeks. We're fingers crossed that he comes back this week, but obviously getting Nico Collins or losing, Marvin Harrison, I know he hasn't been the elite producer that he was kind of early on, right? He's kind of tailored back a little bit. And so I wanted to basically just add some points, man. Again, we've talked about it multiple times here on the show. Right now we're in point scoring season. And so I wanted to just try to get some of that production right now, if I can, to get rid of some of the young assets that were kind of just on my team. And so that's basically where this trade kind of started composing. And then obviously I know sometimes we have to give to get. I didn't really want to give up Xavier Worthy, but again, to make the deal kind of work for the both of us, especially your direction, to your point, you were 0-5. And so we just needed to just get some pieces together to make sure that we were all, happy with the deal, right? And so, again, the deal was kind of made before Nico went on IR, and so I was expecting him to be out maybe a week or two, which I was like, you know what? I feel like I can stomach it, especially if Burrow's giving me the points that I was lacking in the QB2 spot. Now that Nico's on IR and he's expected to miss 4 games, I know none of us expected it, but it's a little rough, man, especially because what I feel like I can do with that Marvin Harrison right now has taken a little bit of a dip now based on what I can do with Nico Collins because he's on IR. Like, I think he's still that elite guy that a lot of people are still viewing that way. But again, we want points right now. He's out for the next 4 weeks at least. His value is going to take a small little hit. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And that's basically how this deal kind of stemmed together, Ty, for me on my side.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I saw it too. I mean, I wasn't in a hurry to move off of Burrow or Nico. And I mean, me having a team that's not trying to score points, like Nico eating a couple zeros, no mind to me. But we've been going back and forth around Nico, AJ Brown, Marvin, like those 3 assets. We've just been kind of circling those between our teams at various points. I finally got Marv out of you. But when we were discussing it, the way I was viewing it was, Caleb's a step down from Burrow. Right, we're in the point scoring season. Burrow is producing right now, and he's got his chase, he's got his wrist, like he's doing his thing. Caleb, yeah, like he looks like a rookie. Like it's kind of what we should have probably expected from him. But I'll bet on the talent. I'll bet on the situation. Caleb could continue to produce. Maybe he'll become that kind of quarterback one, like truly value meets production. That's my bet. I don't need that this year. Marvin Harrison Jr., kind of same thing. Like when we were producing, give me Nico, but that week 2 from Marv, that forever will sit in the back of Dynasty managers' minds. So I think Marv is still Marv, and I'm still okay with that. But I did see that as a step down. Now, much less so than like the Burrow to Caleb maybe. So I was like, okay, I need some kind of a plus here, and how can we make this work? So I had your second, right, which I thought was like hey, there's your pick. If it works out, it's a second. If it doesn't work out, at least maybe you have a bit of a lifeline to figure it out. And he gave that Bucky Irvin. Again, I really had no other real running backs of value. And Bucky at least has some future value. So I wasn't in like a hurry to get it done. But that feels like that made sense to send that. To get a shot at X Worthy, who, I'm a Chiefs fan. I like X. He's fast. He can score. Give me that in best ball. So all in all, like I think it made sense how we got there. Knowing that Nico went on IR, like let me ask you this: if you could do it like over today, like what more realistically would you ask for?
I honestly would have probably tried to just keep Nico out of the deal. I feel like maybe just kind of going Caleb Williams, Xavier Worthy for Joe Burrow, maybe Bucky, and just kind of let you keep the second for now, or something of that equivalent, right? Just see if there's a way that I could tier up to Joe Burrow from Caleb, but keep Marv just for the sake of the points, right? But if that wasn't kind of on the table, and you were like, I really need to get Marvin Harrison in order to, even consider down tiering from Burrow to Caleb or something, then I mean, I still think value wise, it's fair. And so I don't really know if there's necessarily anything more that would need to be added for either side to really be content with it. But again, just for the sake of it, I bought Nico, giving up this young stud asset in Marvin Harrison Jr. under the assumption that I was going to be getting points, hopefully within a week or two. And not even just points, but elite production right now, right? He was wide receiver 2, I think, before he coming into the week, and
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I bought into him as being an elite producer for my team. And so I don't know, if I would have made this deal had that, kind of happened again, just for the sake of just wanting to keep points on my roster.
No, that makes sense. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the next 4 games here for Houston. So they got at Patriots, at Packers, at versus the Colts, and then at the Jets. I mean, Gabe, like you're the Houston fan. Like as an organization, it kind of makes sense. Like, hey, don't push it. Let's sit it down. Take these 4 weeks. We'll get you back healthy for Lions, Cowboys, and we'll give you that elite production again. So I'm not really tilted at all Dynasty asset wise on Nico. Yeah, it just sucks he's not producing like right now for you.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly how I see it as well. Again, I think it's still fair deal on the surface. It just I wanted the points, and that's really why I made the deal. Unfortunately, I'm not getting those points right now, so it does kind of take a little bit of a beating on me.
Yeah. All right, I think we talked about ourselves enough. So let's talk about old Big Steve-O. We got an HVV deal here, Gabe. So can you give us maybe a quick rundown of what HVV is?
So HVV is a best ball 36-man roster league, and so basically it's 3 copies. It's start 13, best ball, and there's a lot of high scoring bonuses and a lot of big play bonuses for wide receivers, for tight ends. I think the premium for a tight end all in all is almost like 2.5, 2.75.
And like tight end bonuses get doubled.
Yeah,
just the way it's set up. Yeah, it's crazy.
A lot of points.
A lot of points, yes.
A lot of point bonuses. And so that's kind of the format. And again, it's an all play. So it's you against 35 teams. And then depending on your record week over week, that's kind of how you get placed in the league.
Yeah. It's also the league that Gabe took down last year. Congratulations again, King Gabe. Old Gabe is gone.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Gabe, I'll call you the expert at HVV. We got on one side of this deal, Tyrone Tracy, Jamison Williams, and David Njoku being shipped away for Devontae Smith and Mark Andrews. So again, a 36 team, 3 copy, best ball, start 13 league, big bonuses. Gabe, I'll tell you this. Tyrone Tracy, it really doesn't sway me big on this deal. If you have the roster space for it and want the chance at a spot start, cool. It's really not playing into a very big into this for me much at all. David Njoku, just can you stay healthy, man? Please. So that then we can tell ourselves it's the offense that's holding you back and not your health, right? Because what is Njoku even really returning to when he is healthy?
Dude, I have no idea, but I know that I want no part of that Cleveland offense right now. I don't know if you've watched the games, but Deshaun Watson, again, coming from a Houston fan, seeing what he is now in Cleveland, he is just a shell of himself. And it's been really difficult to watch. And like I said, I don't know if I want really any part of the Cleveland offense outside of maybe Amari Cooper. And even him, he hasn't really done much so far this year either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you got Jamison Williams, bright spot, actually being the Jamison Williams that people hoped and prayed and that he would be when he entered the league. Like really, really happy to have JMO where I do have him, which is like one spot. I think I accidentally drafted him in an auction draft. Thank God for that. Anywho, other side, we got Mark Andrews, who, speaking of guys who are not producing, probably not healthy. Like, is Mark Andrews healthy? Like, what happened in that car crash? Like, truly, what happened? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So Mark Andrews, kind of same boat as Njoku. Like, again, just not producing for you at the tight end position. And then you got Smitty, who got his head removed from his body. Now he's back. I'm assuming he's gonna be back this week.
Yeah.
I hold Smitty in a pretty high light, and I am cautiously excited for what Philadelphia looks like this week. So Gabe, Smitty, Andrews, Tracy, JMO, and Njoku. I'm gonna take the anti-leverage side of this. Give me Smitty and Andrews. I'll bet that Andrews can look like Andrews, at least in a couple games this year. And I'm going to take Smitty over Jamison and whatever the difference is between the other assets.
Yeah, I'll say I think normally in a best ball league, Ty, and I think you're kind of the same way, I usually like to lean the side that has more assets, right? Because again, you want more darts at the board. And so here in this case, Richie's getting 3, Steve-O's getting 2 in this specific deal here. So normally I like to see like, hey, I want 3 assets instead of 2 in a best ball league, just that can pop at any time. But I agree. I think Mark Andrews, while he hasn't been great, neither has David Njoku, right? And I know that, again, to your point, maybe they're both injured, maybe they're not 100%. I would bet that Mark Andrews down the stretch, if you will, would likely score more points than David Njoku. If I had to make a bet or, just be on one side of conviction, I'm going to stick to Mark Andrews. And then, I would rather have Smitty over Jamison Williams and Tyrone Tracy. Absolutely. So I agree with you. Again, not the deal that I would normally want to make, especially in a best ball. I don't want to. I usually don't want to give up the most assets on a deal like this, but in this case, it makes sense for me for sure.
Yeah. This looks like a tie declare offer. Just attach that running back in best ball that you don't really want, but you can't really cut, and see if I can get value for that in a deal.
Like that Bucky Irving, right? Like the Bucky Irving.
Oh no, not Bucky's. Bucky's different. Bucky's different. Okay, Stebo has this deal in it's in like a locket on his necklace. He opens it up, looks at it at night. I mean, Jaden Daniels for Hurts. He made a bet. Let me ask you, Gabe. Are you making this bet today? Jaden Daniels for Hurts, straight up.
The talk around the town is that Jaden Daniels might be the MVP this year. That's what a lot of people have been saying.
Come on, man. Come on. Let's go.
Yep. A lot of people have been saying it. So, sometimes you do have to make your conviction bets very early on, especially, if he keeps doing what he is doing right now. I do think he's going to jump into one of the elite tiers. I think right now, you can look this up too on KTC. He's got to be QB2, QB3 right now. So I think value-wise, according to the community, he is over Jalen Hurts. Again, I probably don't put too much stock into KTC, but
what do you mean?
Yeah, right. But again, sometimes you have to make those conviction bets, and if you feel like Jaden Daniels is one of those elite guys, one of those elite difference makers, then hey, this is probably the price that you might have to pay. That being said, though, 1-for-1, I would rather have Jalen Hurts. I just think he has a lot better weapons around him. And again, I think whenever this deal was made, Jalen Hurts had been playing without his best assets. He hadn't been, AJ Brown had been injured. Smitty, to your point, had just gotten decapitated. And so, there was a lot of missing pieces, missing weapons in the offense. And so now that they're back, I would be really interested to kind of see the scoring week over week. I do think that Jalen Hurts, now that he has his guys back, I think he will start to outproduce Jaden Daniels again.
Jaden Daniels, number one asset on Keep Trade Cut. So
over Allen?
Over Allen, over Jefferson, over everyone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Patrick Mahomes, quarterback, or not even quarterback, just number 11 overall, tier 4 in Dynasty assets. So wild world we live in, Gabe. Wild world. All right. Okay, where are we gonna go? Let's go to this one. Let's get this MFL out of the way early. So, Josh McAtee, let's go. We got Dynasty Giants. It's a lineup, 12 team, start 10, one quarterback, PPR, 1.75 tight end premium. They're 1-4, second in points. There's a low chance they can get that record back. They're trying to push themselves into a direction. Still have a few more pieces to sell. So, Josh sent away Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Mason, and Stephon Diggs. For Tua Tagovailoa, that man Tyrone Tracy, it's the Tyrone Tracy show. Tank Dell, Jalen Polk, Rashee Rice, a 2025 first, and a 2025 second. I'm assuming that Jordan Mason wasn't hurt at the point of this deal. Yeah. And I'm also going to make the assumption with the San Francisco 49ers having a 10-day break here before they play again, and the fact that Mason was able to clear, come back, and then it was just a pain tolerance issue with his shoulder there. I'm going to assume that he will play. He's not going to miss any time, and he will still be the same bet that we were expecting. Maybe Garendo gets a little more work, but I'm willing to be wrong, but that's the bet that I'm going to stay with.
Yeah.
Goff, Gibbs, Diggs, all great options for win now. Gibbs has that insulated dynasty value. Goff, chronically underrated. Tua coming back. I'm assuming coming back after the bye week. Old Sam for Bama called that right when it happened too. Tank Dell, again, Houston wide receiver for you. Not really happened so far this year. So Tank Dell, we'll see what happens now with Nico out for an extended period. Jalen Polk, I like Polk. Rashee Rice, everyone and their mothers talked about Rashee Rice, so we'll break that down eventually. A first, a second, Gabe, we got a lot of things happening in this deal. So let's play the cross-off game. Where do you start?
Well, I think so. Just real quick before we kind of get into the cross-off piece, it sounds like you mentioned he was 1-4,
yeah.
And so right off the bat, he's getting his picks back, it looks like. Or no,
No.
he's getting all pro rookie. No, he's getting all pro rookies. Yeah. Okay. And so 1 QB league, again, you don't really put too much context into the quarterbacks outside of the really elite ones, if you will. And so, man, I would say we could probably start off with let's do Rashee Rice. So just to kind of get started, right? I know Stephon Diggs right now is getting ready to overtake this Texans team with Nico Collins out. And so right now, would you want Rashee in a second or Stephon Diggs?
No, Rashee in a second, pretty firmly.
What about 1-for-1, Rashee or Diggs?
If I'm in Josh's situation, give me Rice. Yeah, like I'll bet that the recovery, that when he plays football again, he's going to be healthy. That the suspension will delay that window maybe, but I think I know what I'm getting into with Rice. Diggs, I know what I'm getting into as well, but it truly it brings me further from where I'm trying to bring this team at 1-4. I'm trying to take it all the way to the bottom. I don't need those points, and I doubt I find a liquid first worth of value for a Diggs. So give me Rice 1-for-1.
Okay, perfect. That's kind of where I was going to. So the Rashee Rice, Diggs, we can cross them off, right? And then from there, I can go to Jordan Mason. I think right now, a lot of people would want to get a first for him. Obviously, now, I don't know when this deal was made, but now knowing that he is a little bit banged up, I don't think you'd be able to get that, not even a late first, maybe a second. That's kind of where he was going. And so let's say Tyrone Tracy in a second or Jordan Mason, Ty.
So it's a 1 quarterback first too, right? So
yeah,
and we know that the 25 class is probably going to be running back heavy and running back awesome. I mean, in a deal like this, like, do you value a 1 quarterback first more than you would a super flex first, or is it always just a 1 quarterback first is kind of a little less because it doesn't have like the quarterback scarcity market attached to it?
Yeah, I think normally I would value the first a little bit less in a 1 quarterback, just because to that point, everything gets pushed up the board, right? So quarterbacks fall down, positional players get pushed up, right? And so a late first in a super flex league might still get you one of the, better running backs or better receivers, depending on how many quarterbacks go, again, in the start or in the rookie draft. Whereas here, there's probably not going to be any quarterbacks taken in a 1 quarterback league. And so basically all your positional players get pushed up. So your late first are more of like a early to mid second in a super flex league is kind of usually how I like to value it.
Okay. So, I mean, if that's the case, again, I think my personal bet with Mason, again, he's going to come back. He's going to be what he's been. And then I think when CMC does come back, I don't think it's just going to be Mason turns to 0. Right, I could see them ramping up CMC as we get closer to the playoffs. So I still think there will be Mason windows for use and all that. So I mean, I think if I have Mason in a 1 quarterback league, like, I don't know if I'll get a first, but it's got to be pretty close, right? To like a first that we're valuing as like a mid to early super flex second. It's going to be a late one because I'm sending you Goff, Gibbs, Mason, and Diggs. So I think I'd want it for the first. But if it's also easier for cross off, Tracy in a second, I don't know if that gets it done for me, but I could see how someone could get there. Maybe Jalen Polk in a second.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm good with that as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I don't know, especially now with the injury, I don't know if you'd be able to get a first. I know it doesn't seem too serious, but he's one of those guys, man, that the second that you know that he is injured, and if it is a little bit longer than expected, like, what are you expecting? We've talked about it before. Like, we know that his value isn't going to go to 0 when Christian McCaffrey comes back. Like, we expect him to be very much involved still week over week. But the reality is that he does have kind of like a deadline, or you know what I mean? Like, there is an expiration date on this Jordan Mason RB1 in San Francisco. And so at some point you really do have to kind of evaluate, like, okay, is it the time now to get off of him? Which, again, I think if you're not competing, you do need to move Jordan Mason for those reasons. So I don't know that you'd be able to get a first now, knowing that he is a little bit banged up. Again, who knows? But to your point, I think people who have him would want to get as close to a first as value as you can. So for the sake of the cross off, I think Jalen Polk in a second, for Jordan Mason. So then that would leave us. So Rashee for Diggs, Jalen Polk in a second for Jordan Mason. So then that leaves us Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs for Tua, Tyrone Tracy, which again, we talked about kind of a nothing really. And then Tank Dell, and then a first. So, man, Tua, I want, barring concussion, Tua for Goff, 1-for-1, I would want Tua, right? I know that Tua is injured right now. That's why I said barring the concussion and whatnot. With him coming back, I am a little bit cautious. Doesn't sound like he has any plans to retire, though, which is definitely very reassuring. And so, in this trade, if you will, I know that he's trying to get some points off of his roster, right? Josh is trying to get some points off of his roster and, maybe looking to next year. Next year, assuming everything kind of plays out, I would want Tua over Goff. Now, again, I think there is a little bit of ADV that we're missing right now because, again, I think Tua, obviously, with the concussion, his dynasty value has taken a little bit of a hit. So, that being said, I know I said a lot right there. Tua and Tank Dell. Man, I think I'd want Tua and Tank Dell over Jared Goff pretty easily. So that last piece is kind of breaking it down. But then again, a first doesn't give you Gibbs. So the delta, could you make that work out? I guess is kind of where I'm at right now. What do you think? So Tua and Tank Dell over Goff, I'd imagine, right?
Yes. I don't think it really matters how you look at that. We're talking a one quarterback league. I would take Tank Dell over one of those quarterbacks probably straight up. Like
really,
I might be on an island there, but I mean, I feel like I could figure out quarterback in a one quarterback league. And
what are you hoping to get out of Tank? He hasn't really done much, man.
Less points on a rebuilder for one, right?
Yeah.
But also he does feel like one of those guys who he's gonna have a week, and when he does, what's gonna happen in the community, right? And God forbid he can string a couple together, right? Again, we haven't seen it yet. I think the talk of Tank Dell being wide receiver 1, that was foolish, right? So I don't think you're getting a top 24 producing wide receiver for a Goff. So you probably have to take a shot in the Tank Dell range. So I know it's easier to kind of break it down with a quarterback. So I get why you're trying to do that with the Tua, right? But maybe like the closer deal, like if you're not going to do it 1-for-1, maybe it's like Tyrone Tracy and Tank Dell for Goff. But again, in a one quarterback league, I think I'm just taking Tank. I might be off my rocker, but that's like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I like Goff, and if I have him, I'm happy. But he's not really a market mover. He's chronically undervalued. He will give you good production, but I feel like I can find that elsewhere. I'll figure out with Joe Flacco and Andy Dalton. Bet they're available in a one quarterback league.
That's probably true, especially week over week. I mean, you're only starting 12 quarterbacks in a 1 QB league, and so I mean, where is Jared Goff? He's probably riding the bench somewhere, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
probably
most people don't have Jared Goff as their QB1 in a 1 QB league. So I mean, now that you kind of talked me into it a little bit, you're probably right. I don't know if I was 100% there with Tank Dell just because of what I've seen from the Houston offense, but he is going to get a lot of opportunity right now with Nico out, and so there is a world where he does outproduce Goff, in the span of the next couple of weeks. And so, that's fair. And so then it would leave you Tua. Tyrone Tracy and a first for Jahmyr Gibbs seems a little light, but
it feels a bit light, right? But
yeah,
it's just these one quarterback picks never truly know how to work them. So maybe let's try it a different way, just really quick. So if we want to stick quarterback for quarterback, maybe the deal here, maybe it's Tua and Tank Dell for Goff and Mason. Is that maybe, or Tua, Tracy, and Tank Dell for Goff and Mason? Is that close to you?
Tua, Tank Dell, and Tyrone Tracy for Goff and Mason. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit better.
Okay. So then, that's nice. I just kind of crossed all three off the top there. That's really easy for me.
Yeah.
So Stephon Diggs, maybe just Jahmyr. Like, we have to figure out Jahmyr. How do you get Jahmyr from Polk, Rice, a first and a second? Like, are you in a one quarterback league? You're sitting there. You are trying to rebuild. Are you sending your Gibbs away for Rashee Rice and a first, a one quarterback first?
Yeah, I think I would be okay with that, especially if I need to get points off my roster.
Okay.
Yep.
And then there's probably even like a little spillover value just to have the process there. And then you got Polk and a second for Diggs. So is that enough little spill off over value there to get that done?
I mean, I think I'd still
It's still a
rather
little,
have.
it's still
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
little
say it's
light.
still a little light. I still
little
think
bit.
I'd want Diggs over Polk in a second, and a little spillover value of Gibbs and for Rishi in the first. But I get what he's trying to do. I get what Josh is trying to do. You know what I mean? In this league, he's trying to get points off of his roster, and so I can see it from both sides. I think in a vacuum, right? I would want the Jahmyr Gibbs side, right? And I guess that's kind of where I'm coming from. I understand getting the points off your roster, and I understand that, but we've talked about it before. Rasheed's not going to be ready anytime soon, and again, right now you're getting the production, and that's what we want right now, Ty. Like a lot of us want the points. I know where Josh is trying to go with this, but I do think we broke it down two different ways, and I think it still came up just a little short.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I think this is where you have to look at the inherent value. And if this deal makes your first incrementally or significantly better, then that's enough for me to bridge that gap. Could you have sold these pieces individually for more? Maybe, right? But there's also inherent value in getting the deal done now and making a big sweep and setting market and planting your flag early enough that you can get ahead of the curve. So for all those things, Josh, I'm fine with it. Would I have loved to get more? Sure. Can you get more? Probably not in this stingy market. So, anyways, that was a good little talking one there. Good. Yeah. Thank you, Josh, for.
Yeah, that was a little doozy one right there for sure.
Speaking of people who love to talk and we love, Big Diaz energy. 12 by 11 best ball back in the super flex realm. We made it, people. Running backs 0.5 PPR, wide receivers 1 PPR, and tight ends 1.75 PPR. There's a point first down bonus. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends all get something different. It's a 30-man roster. Big Diaz sent away J.J. McCarthy. They got back Sam Darnold and David Montgomery. Now, Gabe, in a best ball league, they usually don't have IR spots. So if you have someone who's not playing, you are eating that zero. And if you're trying to compete and you only have 30 roster spots, you already have one of your 30 hands tied behind your back. So there's inherent value in not eating zeros unless you're trying to lose. And it looks like Big Diaz here is not trying to lose. So, Gabe, best ball. Sam Darnold, Monty, or J.J. McCarthy?
Well, I talked about it before. I think usually in best ball leagues, I want as many darts as I can, right? So automatically my eyes go to to Big Diaz getting the two pieces, right? So Sam Darnold scoring a lot of points right now. He's playing pretty good. He's playing pretty good right now. And JJ McCarthy. So right now I kind of penciled in, I know we've talked about it a lot in the Discord, is that JJ McCarthy, until kind of otherwise seen otherwise, if you will, he's kind of like a first of value, right? And so that's kind of what he's holding at. Again, he's not playing, and so he can't really go up or down, if you will. And so I don't know if Sam Darnold will be the quarterback of the Vikings next year, but again, right now, I want points. Sam Darnold's giving me those points, and then on top of it, you're giving me David Montgomery, who has, I think, scored in almost every game. Like he's been very good. And so for that sake, I would want Sam Darnold and David Montgomery in a best ball league.
Yeah, this isn't particularly close for me. Yeah, I like JJ. I would like to value JJ at the kind of the same way I value Penix, right? Probably a first. If I can't get a first, give me a quarterback like that, right? We're talking best ball here. And Sam Darnold was a damn MVP candidate through the first couple weeks. Is he still there? Probably not, but we'll see. David Montgomery smashing. And you're giving me 2 shots, and I'm giving you a grenade that you have to hold on to. Yeah, give me Darnold and Monty. Like, I don't even know if there's a better deal I can find than a best ball league.
I don't know if you'd want a better deal in a best ball league, to be fair. Again, I mean, they're both playing really good right now. And then on top of it, you're getting points per first down for the running back position at 0.2, which, I mean, David Montgomery is getting a lot of carries right now, and he's been scoring all the touchdowns pretty much for the Lions as well. So no, man, it's not close for sure. Like I said, I was trying to kind of pin it up a little bit more, tee it up a little bit more to make it seem like it was a little bit closer, but yeah, no matter which way you slice it and dice it.
No, you know the way you slice it and dice it that it makes sense. Skull City 21, getting a Viking. Huh. I wonder what Diaz did there. And I didn't bring this one up just to talk about that and to let Diaz, spike the football on everyone. I wanted to talk about this big deal that he made. So again, he's choosing a direction. He's pushing in.
Yeah.
And Gabe.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Oh my God, Gabe. A lot of things flying here. So for those listening, get your pens and papers out. So it's a 12 by 11 best ball league once again. So Big Diaz sent away Jake Haener, Michael Penix, Taysom Hill, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Gardner Minshew, Olamide Zaccheaus, Bryce Young, 3 2025 firsts, a 2025 second, a 2025 third, and a 2025 fourth. And they got back Trey Tucker, Raheem Mostert, Zach Moss, Josh Jacobs, CD Lamb, 42 Fab, and oh yeah, that's right, CJ Stroud.
Wow.
Wow.
FBI, open up!
Holy. Gabe, we talked. I feel like in an ideal scenario, I can just add things to a deal and get credit for them. And people don't think about how it affects how many roster spots they have, that I can send you those guys and pick up guys that are probably the exact same thing.
Yep.
We have multiple of those. And this is a best ball league. And we're sending 4 quarterbacks away, all 4 of whom are not slated to score points this week. Lil Jordan Humphrey and Olamide Zaccheaus, who, okay. 3 firsts, sweet. Getting 3 firsts in any deal in 2024 is pretty cool. You get a second, third, or fourth, and in best ball, those picks matter. Like those later ones definitely matter. Like that, right? Like you can use those. But I mean, CJ Stroud and CD Lamb, you're already maxing out what that offer's gotten you at least. So you're getting a free Trey Tucker, Raheem Mostert, Josh Jacobs, Zach Moss, and can't forget about that 42 Fab either, which actually matters in best ball. This is disgusting.
This is, I don't know how you guys get into some of these leagues, but I need invites is basically all I'm saying. Because to your point, yes, you're getting just free, actually really good assets. Josh Jacobs, Zach Moss, Raheem Mostert. I mean, dude, I think I'd rather the 42 Fab over Jake Haener and Little Jordan Humphrey and so you're already costing off some of those guys just with Fab, and then
I will take 42 Fab for Jake Haener, Little Jordan Humphreys, and that fourth, like easily.
And yeah, I mean, there's literally no way to break this down, right? I mean,
no, this
is quite literally that whole package could be just for CJ Stroud and CD Lamb, and it's still probably light, and it's still light.
It's still light, like legitimately. Yep. So 3 firsts, right? Let's say 3 firsts. Which one does that get you close to? Stroud or CD Lamb in a 12 by 11 best ball league?
I mean, it definitely. I think it can get you either one. Let's just say, for the sake of breaking it down, you want a quarterback. It's got some good first down bonuses. So let's just say CJ Stroud. It'll get you CJ Stroud, who's like QB3, QB4, QB5 in dynasty value.
Yeah.
So,
well, how about this? Well, let's try it a little differently. So how about 2 firsts, Michael Penix, and a second? Does that get you CJ Stroud? Sure. Okay.
Sure. For the sake of this, yes. For the sake of the exercise, let's say it. Okay. I don't know if I'm moving my CJ Stroud, but then again, I got a little bit of Houston bias. So
I don't think you're off base. I don't think you're that far off base. So then are you moving your CD Lamb for Jake Haener, Taysom Hill, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Gardner Minshew, Olamide Zaccheaus, Bryce Young, a 25 first, a third, and a fourth?
I mean, hey, it's a best ball league, right? So no, I'm not moving CeeDee Lamb for those pieces.
he's like, damn, you're giving me a 9 for 1. I can't say no. Yeah, I'm not spending any more time on this. Diaz, way to go, way to push in, figure out your direction, giving us a little bit of a laugh here on the old trade show. All righty, let's go here. Old Shawnee Tsunami. 10 team, start 8, shallow waters here. It's a Superflex PPR. We got a contender trading away Breece Hall and that Dontavian Wicks. And they're getting into Saquon Barkley and a 2026 first of the team they're trading with. Gabe, we play in a what are you doing for me now league. And Breece Hall is in a New York Jets organization, which doesn't feel like I wouldn't feel great being in that building. Maybe this change is going to be positive for Breece. Maybe it means something more. But I mean, I would, if I had Breece Hall and I could get into a Saquon Barkley and get a plus, like I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think I'm sending away Barkley and a first to get into Hall and then Dontavian Wicks. One of these things does not equate to the others. Give me Saquon Barkley in the first, even in 2026.
Are you taking Saquon over Breece 1 for 1?
I don't do that immediately. If I know that's literally the only deal I can get and I need that point, like I might, but the way that I do it, I'd probably just not trade Breece and kind of hold out to wait for some kind of respike. But
really,
I might.
Start
but
8.
I know it's a 10-team start 8. I know. And like legitimately, you're not getting much on top of a first for Hall at this point. Like if it was a 25 first, like we talked about this in VC today, if it's a 25 first, you can't even get like a James Conner on top of that. You got to go down to like your Ty Chandlers, like that level of guy on top of a 25 first. So 26 first, kick the bucket out a little bit, right? But it's Saquon Barkley, and Dontavian Wicks is not wide receiver 1. He's not wide receiver 2. It's a complimentary option at best, as Ray G just said on the old Trinity show today. Yeah, give me Barkley in the first, no problem. 1 for 1. I don't know. Catch me on a Friday night when I've had a few. I might do that.
Well, I'm here to tell you, I think 1 for 1, I would take Saquon Barkley over Breece Hall. Again, start 8. I want hammers. I want the point scores. Breece Hall, unfortunately, has not been that. And to your point just a second ago, sounds like the Jets are in a little bit of shambles. Maybe, with the firing of Robert Saleh, it changes. But we operate in a I want to see it first beforehand. And so right now I want Saquon Barkley over Breece Hall. And then I definitely want a 26 first over Dontavian Wicks. So I think, this one's not close for me either.
I can't argue with you, Gabe. Like I would not fault anyone who makes that deal. Just given how we play today, I really, truly would not. But you give a first. Yeah. I'll pay the flight. I'll pay for the meal. Hell, they can even get one of some of the premium food on the flight. Like I'll pay for that. Not a problem. Not a problem. All right, you failed me. Here we go. I think we're gonna wrap. We might not wrap up. We have another one. We have 2 deals here from You Failed Me. It's a 12 by 11 Superflex PPR lineup contending team. We're trusting the Trinity here, Gabe. Okay, so They need points. So they're willing to move off Puka. He's still eating that 0. Trusting that London usage. Got Scary Terry involved and Olave. So let's break this down. So first deal, 12 by 11 Superflex PPR lineup. You Failed Me sends away Chris Olave. Gets into Terry McLaurin and a 2027 first. Now, Gabe, when you were away, gallivanting before I was, we had Josh on, and Josh did confirm that 2027 is an actual year. So we do know. Yeah, we know it's a year. We've kind of solved that mystery. We'll see about 2028. I haven't heard anything on that yet. But McLaurin and Olave, let me know. I'm gonna pull up some Trinity stuff while you talk. Like truly, what's happening with Olave? And like we know Terry's smashing right now. How close are they even? And then does a 27 first on one side there really get you there?
Yeah, man. I think this one is a tough one for me just because some of the buzz that I've been hearing is who knows who's starting, right? First off, for the Saints, right? I think it's going to be Spencer Rattler, but he's made it a point that he is going to hyper target Chris Olave, is what he has said, basically when he's on the field, right? He's like, I make it a point to get him the ball when he's on the field. Unfortunately, the Chris Olave usage has been a little odd with Derek Carr right beforehand. It looks like he was kind of preferring Shaheed. I don't know if that was, due to some of the matchups or, what that looked like, but Derek Carr really wasn't looking Chris Olave's way. And again, for what it's worth, I don't know why. That being said, though, Terry McLaurin now has Jaden Daniels. We have always liked Terry McLaurin as a receiver, but he has never really lived up to the expectations. And we always kind of chalked it up to it's the quarterback play, right? And so now he actually has a quarterback. And over the last, I think it's 3 weeks now, he has been awesome. And so, again, we were talking about Jaden Daniels right now being kind of penciled up as a potential MVP candidate for the year. And he has really elevated the entire Washington team. And Terry McLaurin has been a great beneficiary of that. And so I want Terry McLaurin in every kind of format that I can get him in. That being said, I still am bought into Chris Olave, just very, very cautiously optimistic. And again, I want to kind of see what Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener, whoever it is starting, kind of see it through before I fully commit to it. And so in this deal, I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of season, because we've been talking points, I wouldn't be surprised if week over week, rest of season, Terry McLaurin outscores Chris Olave. And so to that point, you're giving me a first, which Ty, you've confirmed 2027 is a real year. So I guess I will hold on to that pick for the next 2 years, or watch it accrue value, if you will. But I think normally I like Chris Olave, and I don't want to necessarily get rid of him right now because I feel like you are selling a little bit low based on what I think he can produce. But again, Terry McLaurin, I mean, he is kind of like rocket shipping up right now in ADV, and he's been producing really, really high at a high level, and so. Yeah, I would want Terry McLaurin, and then give me a liquid first and see what else I can do with that.
Yeah, you, Gabriel Garcia, are not holding on to that first. You're finding a way to package that up somewhere else and fleece a little something. But yeah. let me pull up the Trinity here. So let's see. Yeah, you can see that. So this is weeks 1 through 5. Got New Orleans and Washington offense up here, so you can kind of see the distribution of how the offenses are using these players. And that dot way up the top here, that's Terry McLaurin. You got a 7.41 Trinity score. He's below the expected line. And as Ray likes to say, this is the buy zone. This area down here where, they're not meeting expectations yet. Like those are the guys that, you can probably think to buy. Yep. Up here, we got Rashid Shaheed. We got Chris Olave, right? So over the year, it looks like, Shaheed's been the better receiver. But as we kind of tune this up to the last couple weeks, weeks 3, 4, 5, take a look at this. Bang. Terry McLaurin, 9.05. Just elite usage. And even last week, right? It didn't fully come to it, but he still had that, 70-yard reception or something crazy. Yeah. Right? Over the last 3 weeks, Chris Olave, 6.74. Rashid Shaheed, 5.70. So Chris Olave is being used more. As we've progressed here, Chris Olave has, started to surpass Shaheed, but Shaheed's not going away. And you can just see even the difference here in the last couple of weeks, just where Terry is compared to the rest of his team, and then how it's like Shaheed and Olave are always kind of going to be fighting there. Kamara's going to have his, and then they aren't fully being supported really by like great offensive play around them. So, I mean, yeah, if I'm a competing team and you're going to give me a 27 first, even if it's 2027, you're going to give me that on top of Terry McLaurin to get to Chris Olave. I'm probably taking Terry in the first, honestly. Would love if it was 26. Would love if it was 25, but that's not happening. Yeah. Right? I think this is the only way you get someone like Terry McLaurin and a first for Olave. So give me McLaurin, and I'll get my first share of 2027 first. Those aren't mine.
There you go. I love it. Yeah. Like I said, I would be doing the exact same thing. I didn't realize his Trinity score was that high. I knew that he had been killing it, but I did not realize that it was in the 9s.
Yeah. Terry McLaurin hater's been real quiet since. Now, Gabe, we got another deal here. Again, sent away that Puka Nacua. And they got into Drake London and a 2026 third. So this is even more like a straight swap, a little bit of leverage on one side. I know you love yourself a leverage deal, but this is lineup, right? So Drake London, Puka. Oh, how are you handling, do you have any Puka shares? Like, let me back up. Do you have any Puka in Dynasty?
I actually do not,
Okay.
interestingly enough. So I do not have any Puka shares, and I think I'm in like 25 leagues, and I have 0 Puka shares across all those leagues. I have been trying to buy. I will admit I have tried to buy, but the price at what I'm wanting to acquire him for has not been what people are wanting to sell him for. Usually how it works for me. But
Okay. Yeah.
but yeah.
And are you willing to send that Drake London and a 26 third to get a Puka?
I am not. I would rather hold on to Drizzy Drake. Again, we've been talking about it. We're slowly starting to see Kirk Cousins kind of, you know, be a little bit more comfortable over the past couple of weeks. I know it didn't start out great, but now through the last couple of weeks, it's starting to get a lot better. And so if these are, signs of what's to come, absolutely. I mean, 1-for-1, I want Drake London over Puka Nacua, and you're giving me a third on top of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is whole season. Drake London 7.21. Darnell Mooney 6.86. Good for Mooney. Really, truly good for Mooney. You look at the offense here, like on the year, a lot of the options have been above the trend line. So, that tells me that, yeah, like the offense is supporting those options, but it really doesn't feel that way, does it? Like, it feels like there's always something left on the bone, and maybe that's with the Bijan, maybe that's more so with the Pitts, but London's been trending really well, and he's been scoring points because of it. Could he be higher? Sure. But let's look for the last couple weeks here. So again, weeks 3 through 5, bang, Drake London, 8, 4, 5. So as the years progress, he's continuing being used. But that Darnell Mooney does too, right? So that's one thing that can take away from other options, but it looks like this is affecting more of your Kyle Pitts, right? I guess your Ray McLeod's even there. So maybe that's what's taken away from. If Ray McLeod and Darnell Mooney are taken away from Bijan, then maybe we got that wrong. But what I want to do here as well, I want to go to 2023. I want to pull up the old LA Rams, and I want to make this for the whole damn season. That's just what I want to see, because we remember how Puka was used last year, right? Pretty elite, but it was also a pretty big volume bet. All right, so on the whole year, Puka Nacua 7.69. Let's see what he did for us right down the stretch. So let's say like weeks 12 through 17 last year. Bang, still there, 7.31. So he was consistent. He was elite. He scored points. Look at how he scored you so many damn points. But I also felt like Puka was a volume-based bet. So, Gabe, like at this point, like I'm really not expecting Puka to come off IR and just be handed 17 targets a game and flow, right? Like you think they're probably going to ramp him up a little bit. And when he gets there, Stafford better be healthy and TBD on Cup, right? But yeah, I'm probably just taking Drake in a third and taking the points. And I'll use that third to buy a running back spot start somewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And so it sounds like 1-for-1, you're taking Drake over London or over Puka as well, or
you tell me that 2 months ago, and I say you're crazy, give me Puka. I'm sure we'll have like a comment in the section here being like, you said this 2 months ago, and now you're saying this. You're a fraud. Yeah, this is the game we're playing. I could hold out for Puka, I could, but I don't think you see that return, whether it be in like dynasty value or production. Maybe in the playoffs, and if that's the bet, I really can't fault you. Give me what Drake London's doing in this offense. I agree. I'm trusting the Trinity. You failed me. I am.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm right there with you. Like I said, you have to get to the playoffs, right, to be able to reap the benefits of Puka maybe coming back. So,
and you know what I want better than that? I want to buy. All right. So if I can put my team in a position that I can get that buy, cool. All right, this is going to be our last one. Old Roy G NFL got himself into Justin Jefferson. It's a 12-team start 12, start 2 tight end. It's a 0.5 tight end premium. This team is a 4-1 contender. Remind me to bring up the context with the whole team there, Gabe, once we're done. But Roy G NFL, he sent away Garrett Wilson, Tucker Kraft, his own 2025 first, and his own 2025 second. He got into Joe Flacco, Justin Jefferson, and the man we just talked about, Darnell Mooney. So, Gabe, it's very hard to acquire firsts Seconds are still movable, but 25 picks in general, like they're kind of hard to acquire. Like that they mean something. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave's out of the way for this foreseeable future. Kraft looks fine, right? Like cool.
Yep.
In a start 2 tight end league, that matters even in a 0.5. Garrett Wilson, same New York Jets problem. We thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to be the savior. And hey, if he has like a 30+% target share like he did last week, it paid off, right? Like he got volumed there. But I mean, it's Justin freaking Jefferson. And it's Darnell Mooney and Joe Flacco. It sounds like A-Rich is going to play from what we know today on Friday, October 11th. So Justin Jefferson and Darnell Mooney really moved the needle a lot for me. So I'm pretty confidently taking Justin Jefferson, Flacco, and Mooney.
Yeah.
But I can see how the other side got there. No, Gabe, you tell me if I'm off base. Garrett Wilson and a first. Does that get you Justin Jefferson?
Maybe 2 months ago. I don't think right now. I don't think that's getting you Justin Jefferson.
Exactly.
I don't think so. Especially in a 12 by 12. I mean, again, you want a little bit more depth, right, for start 12, but you also still value the hammers. And I don't think Garrett Wilson in a first is getting you Justin Jefferson right now, man. I don't.
Yeah. Wilson a first and a second, or Wilson a first and Tucker Kraft in a 2 tight end league?
I think that's where I was going to kind of go with it, was Garrett Wilson a first and a second. I mean, again, I don't know if you're getting that done, but I think that's right on par. I think that's probably value-wise pretty fair. To your point, 25 firsts have been a little bit more difficult to acquire because we have seen that this class might be, I know we say it all the time, and I hate to say it again, but it looks really good. It looks like it could be a little special. And I don't like saying that because, again, I feel like we say that all the time, but it looks like a very good class. And so I think Garrett Wilson, a first and a second for Justin Jefferson and Flacco, I would say that's fine.
Yeah.
And just because, again, to your point, Flacco probably may not start. I have seen a report, though, recently that said AR was questionable again, and he's going to be a game time decision. So who knows? I mean, there still is a possibility that you get a spot start out of him. But again, for the sake of this, that's how I would break it down. And then Tucker Kraft for Darnell Mooney. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, in a 2 tight end league, like tight ends are notoriously hard to move or to acquire, right? Like people want a lot for them, and you're probably only getting the crusty options. And Tucker Kraft was one of the more crustier options just because we didn't see the path. But I mean, Kraft has done the thing. But I'm also a big proponent of, like I said, just let me get my wide receiver room right. And if I get a guy like a Darnell Mooney, then I can send away a guy like a Garrett Wilson and feel better about it. Because if I can extract that value and then just plug Ray McLeod in and get Darnell Mooney, if I can get everything out of Darnell Mooney, the spike weeks, the zeros, but I capture it all, that's a win for me. So, I'm going to take Mooney, but I wouldn't fault if I saw that come across, Mooney for Tucker Kraft. I wouldn't blink because I get it with the format.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And like I said, normally in a 12 by 12, depth starting to become a little bit important. And so, we might be looking at this deal a month from now that Robert Saleh's gone. And hey, maybe the Jets offense actually becomes what we've been wanting it to be. And Garrett Wilson starts becoming a really good producer, right? I know he just had a good game this past week. And so, maybe we could change our tune on Garrett Wilson here in the coming weeks. But right now, currently where we stand, I'm expecting and I'm wanting more out of Garrett Wilson. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with this deal. So yeah, Justin Jefferson, Mooney, that's the side I want.
Yep. And I remembered, let's go over the team real quick. So Burrow, A-Rich, Cans. So you got A-Rich and you're adding Flacco. So if A-Rich doesn't go, you have to start this week. I don't mind it. I get why that's a good plus for you. Bijan, Mixon, Kyron, Connor. Yep, that works. Marv, JJ, Evans, Wandale, Mooney, Sutton, and Kupp. So you can see like that Garrett Wilson, it was there, but he can hammer hunt because he has Wandale, Mooney, Sutton. Kupp's going to come back eventually. Like he can kind of shuffle those deck chairs a bit to get up to a Jefferson. Yep. Bowers, Fergie, Henry, and Njoku. Tucker Kraft can go. Give me the first, second. Let's ride. I love it, Roy. I love it. Have any other ones came in that I want to talk about? Rashee Rice for Jalen Waddle. Straight up. Give me Rashee Rice. Do you disagree, Gabe?
I don't disagree, man. Man, that's actually, now looking at it twice, I'm kind of talking myself into the Waddle side, but no, I want Rashee Rice. I want Rashee Rice. I'll hold him for the time being and hope that he comes back right now. I mean, your Jalen Waddle isn't producing anything for you either. So, yeah, give me Rashee Rice.
A bet on Waddle's a bet on Tua. All right, that's literally it. And I mean, 12 teams, start 12, 2 tight end, 2 quarterback. Like, I get it. And in those formats, like, I usually want someone that can actually produce and that's useful. But one for one, like, give me Rice. I think Rice is, I know what he is, and I'll bet that he will still be what he is. I don't know what that timeline's going to be, but I don't think I'm getting what KTC or what my gut tells me I could have gotten for Waddle even a month ago. So, is the path there for Waddle to come back? Sure. But just give me Rice.
All right.
All righty, Gabe. We did it. So patreon.com/allgas, ddfantasyfootball.com. Everything you need is going to be over there. Underdog, code ALLGAS. Get 1,000 bonus cash at sign up. Deposit match, bonus cash, whatever you want to call it. Your bonus pick. Come join and talk about Underdog all off season long. But before then, get that money in your account now. Gabe, what do you have to say to the people as we get out of here, as we enter week 6? We have teams choosing directions. Now's a great time to get some deals done.
Yeah, and that's actually what I was going to mention right now is the time you've kind of seen how your team is produced throughout the first 5 weeks. And so now is the time to start making conviction bets. Are you wanting to be the first one to start acquiring those first, you know what I mean, and giving up some of those veterans? Or are you the competing team that's ready to start buying some of the, the veterans, right? So right now is the time to start making those conviction bets. And so definitely wishing you guys a great week 6. Just keep on grinding.
Keep on grinding. It's that time of year, man. Like, you've set your team up. You made all these value deals. Now it's time to capitalize. So go make those moves. Go pivot. Some of your team, well, at least if you have multiple teams, one of them ain't right now. Go get it right and stick in here with the ALLGAS Trade Show and DD Fantasy Football, and we'll figure it out together. Have a great week. Enjoy week 6. See ya. Bye. We out of this thing.